Okay, this is for the gentleman who went to the volleyball game today and for anybody else who wants to use this as a study guide. These are the notes from class on Thursday, November 7th, 2019. You will be tested on Monday on the notes from Wednesday, yesterday, and today. So bear with me as I go through class for the fourth time today. So first of all, join in with me when you know what I'm doing. And again. Okay, so that was a rhythm that we pounded out on the desks today, and it is a rhythm that is called iambic pentameter. Okay, an iambic pentameter means a couple of things. The iambic gives you the rhythm, and the pentameter tells you the meter. Okay, what's the definition of rhythm? Rhythm is a pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables and meter is the repetition of the pattern. So the pattern is the boom boom, and the meter is 5 repetitions of that. Okay, so now when we talk about poems, and this is actually poetry, when we talk about a poem, the units of poetry, let's call it the units of a poem or units of poetry, the largest unit is the poem itself. The second largest unit is the stanza. And last night for homework, you read a mere 2 stanzas in the epic poem. So a stanza roughly is equivalent to a paragraph. The next is a line or a verse. Those words they mean the same thing, they're equivalent. So when you start on the left-hand side and you read all the way to the right side one time, that's a line or a verse. Okay? Any more turns of your head would be more verses. And then the last unit, the smallest unit, is what's called a foot. And I don't know why it's called a foot. Okay, so there are all different kinds of feet. And one of those feet is called an iamb. And you'll see here that we use that word right there. But there are other types of feet as well. For instance, there are trochees, there are dactyls, there are anapests, there are spondees. So there's all different types of feet, and they correspond to different rhythmic patterns. So an iamb is an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. So for instance, if we take the word because, that word is iambic in form. Because if we draw a line between the syllables, the B part of the word is unstressed, and the cause part is stressed. We say because. We don't say because. Another word that is iambic is the word hello. And if we were drawing that line, again, it would be right between the L's, hard to do, unstressed, stressed. Another example that was given in class today, very good example, was the word enough. And the unstressed would be the E, the stressed would be the nuff. We don't say enough, we say enough. So all of these words right here are iambic. So the poem itself, the Odyssey of Homer, is written in iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter, when it's unrhymed, so unrhymed iambic pentameter is called blank verse. Is unrhymed iambic pentameter. And if you pick any line in the poem, you will see that it is written in iambic pentameter. So every single line has 10 syllables. There will be an unstressed and then a stressed, an unstressed and a stressed, an unstressed, a stressed, an unstressed, a stressed, an unstressed, and a stressed. So 10 repetitions, or excuse me, 5 repetitions of the iamb is iambic pentameter. If you turn to page 367 in your epic, sorry, just dropped something. There you go. I gotta turn to page 367 myself. You will see the following line. To this, oh, nuts. Sorry. To this, the wise Penelope replied. So this is an example. This is right at the equator on page 367. This is a line of iambic pentameter. There are 5 repetitions of the iamb. So let's just parse that out. The first iamb is right there. To this, the second iamb is right here, the wise. And the third iamb is right here. It's only part of the name Penelope. It would be Penel. The fourth iamb is the rest of that word, O-P, and then the fifth iamb is replied. So as you can see, an iamb is, let me get some of that out of your way, okay? An iamb can be multiple words strung together, as we have in iamb 1 and iamb 2. It could be part of a word, as we have in iamb 3 and iamb 4. And then, as in our examples up here, it can be all within a single word. To this, the wise Penelope replied. So the epic is written in iambic pentameter because iambic pentameter follows the natural patterns of English speech. So in English, we tend to speak in that sine curve. To this, the wise Penelope replied. We tend to speak iambically, and it follows this beautiful little sine curve. Those of you guys who are in math know what I'm talking about. Well, you guys should all know what I'm talking about there. Okay? So it's a very natural way to translate something into the English language, because the English language is, as I said, a naturally iambic language. All right. Now, when Homer was writing, Homer wrote, I'm running out of room here, so we'll go to our next page. When Homer was writing, he was using a different verse form. So we'll write the word original here. Well, Homer wasn't writing, as you recall. When Homer was composing, he used a verse form called dactylic hexameter. Okay, and if we look back up here, we can see dactylic. Where have I seen that word before? Right there. So a dactyl, we have 6 hex repetitions of a dactyl. Okay, so a dactyl is typically, let's see, I just lost my note here. A dactyl is typically stress, unstressed, unstressed. And so there would be 6 repetitions of this pattern right here. That boom, 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 boom. I think that was 6. I lost count. But there would be 6 repetitions of that. Because we don't tend to speak that way, that dun, 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 in English, Mandelbaum made the choice to translate it into iambic pentameter. So with the Mandelbaum version, his was iambic, and I don't know why that hand is there. I'll get that out of the way. Iambic pentameter. So this is more natural in the English language. This is more natural in the Greek language. But for both Homer and for Mandelbaum, sometimes the lines and what they were trying to convey in the lines didn't quite work. And so at that point, Homer or Mandelbaum would add what are called epithets. An epithet is a very specific nickname for a person. Whoops, or a name nick, as I seem to want to write. A very specific nickname for a person. So if we read the first line of the proem, Muse, tell me of the man of many wiles. The man of many wiles is an epithet for whom? Of course, Odysseus. If you read the rest of that proem, you will find another epithet, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. I want you to try and find it yourself. But it's right there in that first two stanzas of the epic, also known as the proem. Okay, so an epithet, a very specific nickname, and they were often used to fill space, to fill out lines. Okay, now one more thing, and then I think we're good to go. On occasion, Homer would give you 2 lines of iambic pentameter. Let me just check here. I think I got everything. Okay, on occasion, Homer would give you 2 lines of rhymed iambic pentameter, and those are called heroic couplets. A couplet is 2 rhyming lines. Oh boy, I better respell that one. C-O-U-P-L-E-T. A heroic couplet. 2 lines of rhymed iambic pentameter. So remember that Homer wrote the entire epic. Homer composed the entire epic in poetry, dactylic hexameter. For our purposes, we're going to think of the Mandelbaum version in iambic pentameter. And he would sing this to the people that he was entertaining, or that he was giving information to. The audience would have been very good at listening to listening to things and gleaning information just by listening. Some people nowadays are better at reading things or whatever, but Homer's audience would have been astute listeners, and so they most certainly would have heard those lines of rhymed iambic pentameter, those heroic couplets. So Homer would use the heroic couplet in order to emphasize something. So there aren't going to be a whole lot of them in the epic, maybe 30 or 40 in the whole epic. So when he does it, that means it's something, he's really trying to convey something important, and you should pay attention to those lines. Okay, remember that the quiz is on Monday, and it's on these notes and the notes from class yesterday.